Women Walks Ahead. Women Walks Ahead is a 2018 film directed by Susanna White and written by Stephen Knight. Based on the true story of Carolyn, known in the film as Catherine Weldon, a Swiss-American portrait painter in 1889 by herself travels from Brooklyn, New York to Standing Rock Indian Reservation to paint portraits of the infamous Sitting Bull. She becomes embroiled in the Lakota people's struggle over the rights to their land. The story, with headline cast Jessica Chastain and Michael Greyeyes, director Susanna White was excited about Woman Walks Ahead, even though it only had a small budget of $5 million from the production company I Am Global. Susanna White, born in Britain 1961, spent dozens of years doing documentaries on BBC. Before Woman Walks Ahead, she did a couple of films: children comedy Nanny McPhee and the Big Bang 2010 and spy thriller Our Kind of Traitor 2016. Jessica Chastain, born 1977, is an American actress and producer. She has received an Academy Award and a Golden Globe Award. Her breakout year was 2011, which included Help and The Tree of Life. Besides Interstellar 2014 and The Martian 2015, she received acclaim for playing strong-willed women in A Most Violent Year 2014, Miss Sloane 2016, and Molly's Game 2017. Michael Greyeyes, born 1967, is a First Nation Muskie Creek Nation actor, dancer, choreographer, director, and educator. Greyeyes is an associate professor of theater at Toronto's York University. In 1993, when he was cast as Jill in TNT's Geronimo, this role led to numerous television appearances: Law and Order, Walker, Texas Ranger, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, 1923 miniseries, and TV film Crazy Horse. Woman Walks Ahead was filmed primarily in New Mexico in September 2016. Some of the filming locations included Santa Fe, Pecos, and Albuquerque. The film premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival September 10, 2017, before being released in limited theaters on June 29, 2018. Unfortunately, the production company I Am Global went bankrupt the same month. Without any promotional support, the film only grossed $900,000 from a $5 million budget. This is minuscule compared to the top films in 2018. Black Panther grossed $700 million in domestic sales with a $200 million budget. This is an intelligent story that unfolds naturally. It does not attempt to romanticize the conquest of savages, nor portray them as naive followers. The dialogue, interspersed between English and the native Lakota language, tries to show respect for cultural beliefs. Prominent in the film is the U.S. government wanting the Lakota natives to vote for the Dawes Act of 1887. The policy was the white man's effort to remake Indians as white men in all but color, says Robert M. Utley. Dubious goals of civilizing Indians by taking away their land to enrich the whites. Sitting Bull was a showcase docile under U.S. authority. His rebirth to the old ways made him expendable. Carolyn is a strong individualist, capable of making her own mind. She recognizes her own ignorance and grows in that seemingly hostile environment. No longer chief, Sitting Bull does not reminisce the past. No past glories are told, nor trophies shown. Now a pessimist, he just wants to be left alone. One observer of the film stated, both the woman and the Indian are trapped in the greed, prejudice, and anger of man. The struggle is to be brave, and above all, why not be brave? The title, Women Walks Ahead, refers to the name given to Carolyn Weldon by Sitting Bull. It's a Lakota name, Takaheyamani Win, for her willingness to walk, to reach him, his people, and advocating their rights. Later, it's learned why she walks everywhere. Carolyn Weldon's father locked her in a stable when she was 8 to break her for being insufficiently ladylike. She developed a fear of horses that she ultimately overcomes with the help of white stallion Rico. Rico actually given to Sitting Bull by his friend Buffalo Bill Cody. Ironically, Rico, as a show horse, learned to dance whenever a rider falls off his saddle. This was depicted in the film's death of Sitting Bull, which may or may not have occurred, but a nice symbolic gesture. The film end credit. When Rico began to dance, the Lakota people took it as a sign from God and fled into the Badlands. The story is true, with some liberties made to make it more appealing to contemporary audience. When the two met, Carolyn was 43, Sitting Bull 56, considered old in the 1890s. Sitting Bull was born in 1831. His name was earned as a warrior aged 14. Taktaka Iotake in Lakota translates to Buffalo Bull who sits down. He fought most of his life the U.S. cavalry, who mistakenly attacked his peaceful village, who weren't even at war with the U.S. The American public viewed Sitting Bull as responsible for Custer's massacre in 1877. He was the Osama bin Laden of his days. He escaped to Canada, but returned 4 years later in 1881, a broken man. I wish to be remembered that I was the last man of my tribe to surrender my rifle. Confined to the Lakota reservation, Sitting Bull briefly was allowed to join Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, traveling the U.S. and Europe before returning as a tired warrior wanting to be left alone. After years of fighting soldiers, he better understood the white men, their hatred towards Indians, and their greed for Indian land. In 1888, Sitting Bull traveled to Washington, D.C. for negotiations about fair prices for the land. Reaching out to Sitting Bull was the National Indian Defense Association, NIDA, was a reform group founded in 1885 that advocated the gradual assimilation of Indians to U.S. society and for the protection of Indian rights regarding land and cultural practices. In 1889, NIDA sent to the isolated Standing Rock Reservation Carolyn Weldon to help Sitting Bull. Carolyn Weldon was born Susanna Caroline Fiest in Switzerland, 1844. In 1852, she immigrated with her mother to America. In 1866, Carolyn married another Swiss, a physician, but after 10 years, she ran away with another married man whom she gave birth to a boy, Christy. Abandoned by both men, she lived with her mother and changed her name to Carolyn Weldon. Carolyn became a portrait artist. Upon her mother's death in 1887, aged 43, she inherited some money which gave her the means to pursue her interests freely. She became an activist for NIDA. Carolyn Weldon gradually acted to be his voice, secretary, interpreter, and advocate. She joined him, together with her 14-year-old son Christy, at his compound on the Grand River, sharing with him his family home and hearth. Sitting Bull even taught Christy how to ride horses. At times, the cultural differences did arise. Although Sitting Bull respected Carolyn Weldon, he didn't understand why she would leave herself and her son so vulnerable without the protection of a husband. Though Sitting Bull had 2 wives with him, he asked her to marry him. Carolyn Weldon was furious, scribbling in her diary, "I think myself just as great as Sitting Bull." Carolyn Weldon painted 4 Sitting Bull portraits. 3 are known to have survived, 2 in public collections, 1 at the State Historical Society of North Dakota in Bismarck, and another at the Historic Arkansas Museum in Little Rock. A rip in the canvas is damage done to the portrait after Sitting Bull was killed and before the artwork was saved from destruction by a U.S. Army soldier. Eventually, it was gifted over to the North Dakota State Historical Society. This third one was sold at auction in Florida in 2023 for $67,100. It is believed to be in private hands. This third one was sold at auction in Florida in 2023 for $67,100. It is believed to be in private hands. Confusion about Weldon's first name, Carolyn, being Catherine, may be due to her signing all her portraits as C. Weldon. In the 1880s, spreading across the U.S. was the ghost dance movement, called on the Indians to dance and chant for the rising up of deceased relatives and the return of the buffaloes. The dance included shirts that were said to stop bullets. When the movement reached Standing Rock, Sitting Bull allowed the dancers to gather at his camp. Although he did not appear to participate in the dancing, he was viewed as a key instigator. Alarm spread to nearby white settlements. Carolyn Weldon vehemently opposed the ghost dance. She believed it would lead to government intervention and violence. Sitting Bull, while respecting Carolyn Weldon, did not share her negative view of the ghost dance. Carolyn Weldon's strong stance alienated Sitting Bull. He turned against her. She considered leaving the reservation. Christy stepped on a rusty nail and contracted lockjaw. Carolyn, with her son, left the reservation seeking medical help, but her son died on board a riverboat November 19, 1890. She telegrammed Sitting Bull, "Away from the Dakotas, my boy gone forever, what is there left for me?" Sitting Bull, also close to her son, was distraught for days, according to his family. The subsequent events of Sitting Bull, death on December 15, 1890, and the Wounded Knee Massacre on December 29, 1890, added to Carolyn Weldon's sense of futility and failure. Carolyn Weldon faced resentment for supporting Sitting Bull, poverty, and obscurity, eventually dying aged 76 in her Brooklyn apartment in 1921 from a fire. She is buried next to her mother and father-in-law. Sitting Bull died December 15, 1890, and was buried at Fort Yates. The quote most cited by Chief Sitting Bull: "A wise leader eats when he can. He builds the strength for the day when he must fight to live. When asked who wins, I answer the one I feed the most." Women Walks Ahead. First release 2018.